Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Globe Law. It's a first-class book on intellectual property. It's intellectual property in electronics and software. Very up-to-date. It's a global guide to rights and their applications. This is a second edition and the consultant editor is Nicholas Fox. We're very delighted that Sean O'Neill and Nicola Hornby sent us this book for review. We've given it the title Navigating the Maze, which is Global IP Law, when IP rights become imperative in sustaining competitive advantage. Let's just have a look at the book. It's very much the house style of Globe. They always like to have the title on the side like that. You can see the front. There's the spine, it's a hardback, and then you probably can't make too much out at the back. It's quite a heavy book, and it's as usual, beautifully published, put together. It's just 500 pages long. There is a list, of course, of people who have contributed to the book, and they are included at the back of the book. Quite a large number of them in total. You can see I'm just running through, they're alphabetically listed about the authors. And then if we go to the front of the book, there is no index. You do have paragraph numbering and footnoting, but there's no index at the back. At the front we have, as usual, the front page, which is the house style of Globe. So there's no mistaking them at all. First class book, this one. There's the information from Globe. Then a table of contents setting out what's actually in the book. I'll just reverse it back a bit. You probably see that. It's setting out what happens in various countries, for instance, looking at France, Germany, Italy, UK and so forth, and continuing on the second page. Then there's an introduction from Nicholas Fox at the beginning of the book, talking about where we are. I'm going straight into the first big area, Facebook. Then it's looking at Google, future trends, and looking at a whole range of other areas. I found it fascinating because as an older advocate, I'm not familiar with some areas of this particular new media. Intellectual property is a very interesting area of law. It's not one that I specialise in. I've been involved in a number of matters concerning IP, but I did think this book was particularly interesting because this is what we say. Elizabeth was the lead writer on this. It is unarguable and certainly universally acknowledged that technology and creativity are inextricably linked. It's not surprising then, especially in legal circles, that protecting innovation has emerged as a top priority, whether the client companies are dynamic startups or leading corporate entities that have become household names worldwide and recently referred to in the United States of America as titans by various people, because that's exactly what they are in modern terms. Now, as competitiveness reigns in the communications and electronics industries, developers and manufacturers must leverage their IP rights to sustain competitive advantage, as Nicholas Fox, the consulting editor of this book, rightly points out. Fortunately, this now well-established text, it's as I say in the second edition, is the mainstay of many an IP lawyer. It's provided a practical guide to many an IP issue pertaining to innovative technologies, and here it is out now in a new second edition which has come to us from Globe Law and Business. They excel in these books, they make our lives a lot easier, and I'm very grateful to them because, like many a Globe publication, this edition offers a compendium of high-powered consultancy by acknowledged experts from the leading firms worldwide. Simmons & Simmons, Reed Smith are only two examples. With this global orientation then, it's been developed, says the editor, quote, with the needs of electronic and software firms in mind as they and their advisors navigate the maze which is global IP law. And that, of course, is the problem. It's a modern area, I have to say, very modern area. Obviously, I'm delighted to see so many younger colleagues are very, very familiar with what is going on, because it is the future and we need to know exactly where we're going. Obviously, there are one or two very controversial areas. which we won't go too far into today, but the answer is that this book itself gives you a very good picture of where we are. It's divided logically into 3 parts, and the book focuses at the beginning on multi-jurisdictional issues, with an introductory chapter on international IP instruments relevant to electronics and software. Part 2 then goes on to look at the law primarily in the key jurisdictions of France, Germany, Italy and UK. And in the final 3rd section, the book goes truly global, as it covers, in the editor's words, quote, the approaches adopted in key non-European jurisdictions: Australia, Canada, China, Hong Kong, India, Japan, South Korea, and the United States of America. And as the US has been a prime mover in the genesis and development of IT, as few need reminding, the chapter on the US is of particular interest. We found it certainly of particular interest to us, and I think to you as the reader. Described as unique, that word crops up a lot, in certain respects as unlike many major jurisdictions, more than 3/4 of all cases are decided by juries, and punitive damages for willful infringement can be awarded. Well, it's not like that here in the United Kingdom, as I mean, people will know, because damages can be quite low, but it's different in America. Litigation here can certainly get mind-blowingly expensive. Of course, that's another problem, which is why many cases there is an attempt to mediate where possible. But be warned that the average costs for a single case can range from $1 to $6 million. Manufacturers, licensors and attorneys alike, say the editors, do need to understand the quirks of the US system. And it's a problem. It's about money. And therefore and if you've got it, it's fine. If you haven't got it, you've got a real problem. You can have it and lose it. That's another problem as well. So you can see the difficulties. Let me conclude by saying this. Considering the nature of this area of law, this book contains a lot more quirks to contemplate, as much as innovation, as the publishers put it, take place at the intersection of patent design and copyright law. So this new edition, we think, presents in particular much new material, including recent case law on such matters as open source software, standard essential patents, and much more besides. So here then is essential reading and an impressive fund of know-how for every IP lawyer advising on matters relating to the protection of innovation in electronics and software industries. That's what you're getting. I think it's a very useful book, and a big thank you to Globe. The date of publication is cited as the end of 2019, and I'm recording this in the early part of 2020. There's the book again, the front, the spine, which you can probably see there. You probably can see a little bit of that. It's reversed out, so it's not easy. Just opening it in the middle. As I say, it runs to 400, 500 pages, something like that. This is Australia. Let's go down under. There's Australia. You can see the names of the people who've written the chapter. You can see the blurb, a lot of footnotes there, and it then goes from the introduction, it runs into little bits of paragraph numbering and a lot of information, an outline of national patent procedure, and then runs on standard patents and so forth. Court approach to software patents. Again, depending on the jurisdiction you're in, I think you'll find it's very useful, as it says, IP in electronics and software. And of course, the point I would make as a final point is it's global, and that's where we are today. It's not going to change. We're not going back to the old ways at all. So you need to know what is happening in the individual countries. Thank you very much anyway to the author, Nicholas Fox, and to all the people at Globe, and delighted to be able to review this excellent work. Thank you. Bye-bye.